welcome back to the C-Files podcast. This is the first episode with 4 people on it for the entire time. I'm Luke.
I'm Casper.
I'm Max.
And I'm Luke.
That's Huxley, who
Nice.
is definitely a different person.
Yep, completely.
And this week, even though, we're releasing this like 4 weeks after the movies come out, but I want credit because we saw this opening night. I just want everyone to know that.
We did see it, and then we had a sleepover, and then we tried to record it, and we all screamed, and Luke said that it sucked.
I've
And
listened
Max
to this.
chimed.
It is a lot of screaming. No one wants to hear that. The internet
Yes.
has enough stupid things on it already.
I disagree. There's never enough on the internet.
Welcome to the internet.
So if you just randomly landed on our podcast, which I imagine is how a lot of people end up listening to this, and you
He
didn't
does
look...
it by voice.
Yeah, I imagine it's mostly an accident. I don't know why you'd be here. We're reviewing The Batman. I realized I announced that we saw an opening night before I announced the movie, so I could have said any movie there. I could have seen any movie on opening night. Damn.
We saw... What's a film with Charlie Chaplin in it?
We saw The Gold Rush, opening
We
night.
saw that one.
Yes. With time travel and shit.
Yep.
But we saw
3
The Batman.
14-year-olds and a 28-year-old.
And a
I'm
20-year-old.
not 28.
Anyway,
Don't believe the
alright,
lies.
Casper, sure. But let's, just because the movie's new, let's just give like a short-ish spoiler-free review. So
Alright.
people who haven't seen it
That seems
can see
fair
it.
enough.
Also,
But also...
you
No.
better see this. This movie
Oh yeah, it was
made
insane.
200 and something million opening weekend worldwide, and it better better make more money than the Lion King remake. So someone on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, had seen this 23 times. Good for them.
That seems slightly excessive.
No, I think everyone needs to see this 23 times.
No,
This movie needs to make more money than the Lion King remake.
that is true. I fully agree.
Alright.
So everyone needs to see this 23 times. I'm sorry. It's just what that is weird. I don't know how that made that made $1.6 billion.
We're going on a tangent.
Because
Shut up.
Disney. That's literally the only reason.
Alright. We're gonna stop tangenting.
Am I wrong? Yeah,
Um,
it's because Disney.
It's because Disney. I'm gonna start like the movie. Good movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I have an opinion. It's movie good. Watch now. That's it.
Yeah,
It
pretty
is
much.
movie good. Watch now. That's what the tagline should. That's what the tagline should have been.
Yeah.
Better than the actual tagline, which is unmask the truth.
I just said that.
Because no one can unmask Batman.
have
He's
a private-
invincible. He'll never die.
Yeah, it should have been good movie. Watch now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Would have been perfect with no flaws.
So yeah, there's
Back. Great.
we all like movie.
Yes.
It's good movie.
Watch movie.
It's good movie. You should watch movie.
But don't unmask Batman because he'll kill your parents. Batman.
Yeah, don't. Once you see the movie, only walk down brightly lit alleyways. Otherwise, your parents will be murdered.
Yep, bye Batman. You will become the next Batman.
Wait a minute. How? Why would they be murdered by that?
Don't worry
He's
about
trying to recruit new Batmans.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
See, 'cause
address that.
if people know Batman dead because Batman died of old age, then people less scared of Batman. If he's just immortal, then people more scared of Batman. Am I wrong?
Yes, you are
No.
great mistaken, Huxley.
No, Casper, you're mistaken.
I know. I just wanted to say gravely mistaken. Okay, give me a break.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, Max. What was your opinion?
I liked it. I expected it to be really, really, really bad. But it was actually really
Yeah, same,
really
to be honest.
I liked that it wasn't somehow the only other one I've seen, which is The Dark Knight. And I've seen Batman Begins. But I feel like they're quite low and there's like bits where you're like, I'm bored. But like in this movie,
I nearly fell asleep, although to be fair, that's just because I was really tired. Like, the movie was good.
Second was
You're not
nice.
supposed to say that.
It was
You're
really.
supposed to say me awake whole time. Yes. You had a severe case of awake.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we all like the movie, so I'm just gonna say, should we go into spoilers? Because
Yes, because we can only say good movie, watch movie enough.
yeah. So you know what? So let's talk about the ending of this movie. Also, yeah, no, again, like seriously, I'm not even joking. Watch the movie, but let's talk about the end of it because that has a cameo which I am iffy about.
Oh yeah, you don't like it.
I'm not against it, but
Silly
I'm not
movie man don't like cameo.
crazy about it. Primarily, I'm just not crazy about the casting because the end of this, I checked. It is the Joker.
I thought it was Two-Face.
I thought it was It looks like Two-Face. He has like so. Okay, so they
It
found
was
out.
not Two-Face.
So
He has these scars, but you don't know why he got them.
Barry Cohen is playing the Joker now, and I'm not crazy about the casting. I'm just gonna call him Barry. Barry is a fine actor. He's in good stuff. I just don't know if he can bring the physicality of the Joker to the scene.
His
His
laugh wasn't very good.
I'm not even fine with that. It's just he doesn't like the Joker is just. I always thought of the Joker as almost as like he's a tall guy who kind of hulks Batman in some ways as well. So it's kind of like, you know.
I wasn't watching Welcome to the Internet.
No, I know.
Of course not.
So it's a kind. I mean, yeah. So I found out, even because I thought it was the joke. It was Two-Face because he had like the smile going up, but I found out that's because, instead of
These
like you know how
scars.
in The Dark Knight, the smile is from scars.
He sticks the blade in my mouth. Let's put a smile on that face.
In the 80s Batman, it's because of plastic surgery. But in this movie, it's in this universe at least, the smile's supposed to be from rictus, which is a disease that forces your muscles to smile all the time.
He's got this congenital disease, he can never stop smiling. And I was like, well, maybe there's something here where it's not something where he fell in a vat of chemicals, or it's not the Nolan thing where he has these scars and we don't know where they came from. What if this is something that he's been touched by from birth, and that he has a kind of congenital disease that refuses to let him stop smiling, and he's had this very dark reaction to it, and it's made him, he's had to spend a life of people looking at him in a certain way, and he knows how to get into your head. So this idea of him being very kind of incisive and brilliant and being able to get into your mind and basically having this kind of nihilistic point of view that sort of like from his inception, from his birth, life has been a cruel joke on him, and this is his response.
Or make like a smile motion. It's based off, I think, this movie, The Man Who Always Laughs, which is this old like I think it's in black and white. It's old like it's this old horror movie that like inspired the Universal monsters. So like old.
So he's kind of very much out of the Conrad Veidt sort of mold, and that idea of the silent film of the man who laughs.
So apparently Matt Reeves was inspired by that for the Joker, and I think that is actually what the Joker was originally. The character of it in the comics was originally inspired by. So I mean that's interesting. At least they're doing something different with that, you know.
Yes.
Hmm.
But, you know, these scars, though, and how they were gotten.
I mean, yeah, it is. That's the thing that the Joker.
I'm just gonna say I like it. It's kind of everything seemed like it could legit. Whereas some of the superhero movies, you see everything's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know if there's any Batman.
Oh yeah, the wingsuit in air quotes of the last of the Dark Knight a little bit unbelievable.
I mean, it's a real thing actually. That I think I saw about it. The Batman suit in the Dark Knight, like they got like military kind of material. It's an insane. That suit would actually apparently work.
Inspired by experimental military memory fabric, they took some high-quality parachute silk and flocked it with tiny fibers to give it a velveteen look.
It'd be very impractical to carry around, but like for flying purposes, it would work.
So what? You can
I mean,
fly?
not for like a long time, but if you're like trying to
No.
glide down, it's the same kind of idea as a paraglider. Like,
Oh.
you can glide down with it.
Oh, that's really cool.
I mean, you couldn't like tuck it back into your backpack. I don't know, isn't that? No, yeah, that Dark Knight suit is.
I'm just thinking schoolboy Batman with a backpack now.
I mean, you know, he has a SpongeBob backpack in some of those scenes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One thing I am happy about is that Matt Reeves said it's unlikely, he said at least, that he's going to put this Joker as the main villain in the next movie, which is good, because I honestly think as long as we can keep the Joker away from being the primary villain, the better it is for this franchise. Because it's very hard to do that after Heath Ledger.
That makes sense.
You know?
I kind of feel like a basically having him as a villain, controlling the Riddler, would be interesting.
Well,
No,
there was apparently a deleted scene that was like Hannibal-esque. They're going to release at some point where Batman goes to meet with the Joker and talk to him about the Riddler.
It's a scene where Batman is so unnerved because the Riddler is writing to him. And he's like, well, why is this guy writing to me? And he figures he's got to profile this killer. And so he goes to see another killer that he's clearly had an experience with in these first 2 years. And this killer in this story is not yet the character that we come to know, right? So everybody's in their kind of infancy. So, you know, in the comics, these characters often declare their alter egos in response to the fact that there's a Batman out there. And so here we have a Joker who's not yet the Joker.
I mean, they'll release that at one point. I imagine it'll probably be like a deleted scenes on the Blu-ray. So I'm going to buy the Blu-ray.
He still buys movies because he's a nerd.
No, I just like Blu-rays. And I will say, when I got home this evening, a 4K version of Arrow's new American Wealth in London was waiting for me because I've ordered that. And that is a great transfer. I'm just going to say, Blu-rays look better. So if you're willing to spend the money on it, which if you like a movie, please do.
Extortion.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyway, this episode's sponsored by Blu-rays.
That
By
was
Warhammer.
Nah, yeah, no, we don't have that much.
Blu-rays.
Blu-ray, the idea of Blu-rays.
I read a thing as what's his name? The director, Matt Reeves,
How dare you read, Max?
has compared Batman to Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain?
Lead singer of Nirvana.
Yeah, I did see something about that. I just don't know about Nirvana at all, so I didn't feel like I have anything.
In the intro of the movie, with him talking about him being in the shadows, the Underneath the Bridge, whatever the name of that's by Nirvana.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. All right.
Something in the way.
Yeah, I can't remember the name for the life of me. Yeah.
Yeah,
something like
I know
that.
that's not just how it went.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of just stuff in this movie. Apparently, there's like they filmed a subplot about a cop that they just completely cut out, which
Okay, great.
feels excessive, at the least.
Thought they were going to use it, and then they didn't.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot, but I guess in a 3-hour movie, what is that, like 15 minutes of footage that you had to spend weeks shooting?
Haha, all gone.
Just burning through money.
Yeah.
I will say, to see a movie with smaller stakes, especially a superhero movie, to see a superhero movie where the world isn't about to end is nice. I appreciate that. That is a thing Marvel's kind of had a problem with,
I did.
where every movie, the world's going to end.
No, Luke, I didn't think of that, but now you.
I mean, the villain, it's weird. I think the villains of this it's interestingly done, the villains of this. Because it's as much of a primary villain as other Batman movies. I mean, I guess you could say it's the Riddler, but he feels backgroundy, especially in the third act.
What do you mean?
Like the second act, because
Okay.
he's like a big thing in the first act, and then he kind of goes away in the second act, and then he comes back for the finale.
Hold on, there were acts in this?
No, but like in the script, for example.
Yeah, it's how you talk about
Yeah.
the plot of a film.
Because like the beginning, it opens with there's a lot of it opens with an example, I think, of a lot of the comparisons between the Riddler and Batman, which I did like. We haven't gotten that in other Batman movies, where you see like a camera watching the mayor's house, and then it cuts to like the mayor at night, and the Riddler attacks him. I think the Riddler attack is a very good scene in just example of setting the tone for a movie, you know?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Because two things I kind of didn't shock me, but I was impressed by was the way, I mean, I thought that was interesting how when the Riddler attacks him, he like yells, he like screams almost, yelling like. It felt very like serial killer 70s movie type thing.
Well, it felt very guttural. Like it was actually a
Oh, yeah,
person that is
guttural.
kind of insane, just attacking someone.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
A little bit scary.
And then the blurry background and the weapon slides in front and there's blood on it, and I'm like, oh, don't see that in most superhero movies.
Mm.
I mean, whenever
Yeah,
a
it felt
superhero
very
movie
horror,
can
this
whenever a
time.
superhero movie can like work in blood, I am very happy. That sounds
Alright.
weird, but like when in the Falcon and the
Blood
Winter Soldier,
Be happy.
Yeah, blood makes Luke happy.
man, it's normal, man.
Sure.
But like when I saw in Falcon and the Winter Soldier when Captain America's like hits the guy and there's like blood on the shield, I was like, oh, good for them, getting some blood into the TV show. You know what? Good for them. Yeah, I need to go
we
outside.
do not understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, we mentioned this in our original recording of this that was just screaming, but I was interested how they filmed a jump scare, but they didn't edit in the noise you would usually accompany a jump scare with.
Well, I don't think it was supposed to be scary. I think it was just supposed to be unnerving.
That's
That's
weird.
how I had it.
Stopped,
as.
and there was just a guy behind the guy, you know.
But usually in like for a horror movie example, and this opening scene definitely could be part of a horror movie. If there's some slasher, like if there was a slasher about just a guy who had that type of mask, like that could absolutely just be like a straight up horror movie.
That's true. But I
But where
think it is supposed to be unnerving instead of, jump scare.
Yeah, it should, but the way it's filmed makes you think it's a jump scare because he like walks to the side. If you want it to be unnerving, it feels. If you wanted to make it purely unnerving, it would have made more sense to have him like it cut to just you see the Riddler in the corner.
Yeah, maybe.
But with him moving to the side and in behind, and the camera stays there for a beat, it feels like it was filmed to have a jump scare, and then in editing they were like, it doesn't really work for the rest of the movie. Just cut that sound out, you know?
Maybe.
Luke,
Yeah?
Max, I've just been scrolling through r/Sigma, and I just got an ad for the Batman movie Batmobile remote control car.
That
I
sounds
know.
incredible.
I was actually kind of I was interested to see if they would make like kids toys for this, because
It doesn't
I don't
really
think
fit for the film. Though.
I don't think many
That's
kids
the
are going
thing.
to see this.
No.
I mean, like The Dark Knight got angry letters, so this definitely is. If anyone's taking their kids to see it, you know.
Well, it's a 15, so I don't think many kids will see it.
Well, in the US, it's PG-13.
Oh, well,
It's 12.
So
Fuck
I mean,
yeah.
yeah,
Everyone goes to
Vietnam is gonna
Vietnam.
get a bunch of calls.
actually, yeah, probably.
So, I'm interested. I imagine that this movie does kind of have a reputation already as it is a much darker Batman movie.
Well, just after
So-
superhero movie in general.
Yeah, this is a really, this movie has its flaws, and I will get into that a little more later.
See, this movie burns orphans. And that is not a joke.
What?
It
Can I
does,
say
actually,
A
yeah.
couple of things.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Robert Pattinson's Batman voice does not sound like Christian Bale's, because Christian Bale's was ridiculous.
I like Christian Bale. It's not my favorite, actually, but it's serviceable.
Where were the other drugs going?
I think there was a flaw though, because he sounded exactly like normal him. And if anyone knows him as Bruce Wayne and then meets Batman, like, oh, they just know exactly who it is. Because if you know someone, you know their voice.
I think Batman doesn't have any friends in this movie.
No, but like acquaintances, right?
Yeah.
Because he is this,
What? It's like, but it's like, it's Alfred.
person. He
It's
knows.
his maid. It's Alfred. It's his maid. That's about it. Also, I'm happy they included a maid, because no hell is
Matt,
Alfred cleaning that entire house.
I don't know. Alfred's a man of grit and determination.
Survived an explosion.
Yeah.
That's the
Alfred
weird
is
bit.
capable of
I'm like,
literally everything.
I was like, hold up. When he sees the building, there's like a hole in the side of the building. So that bomb did something. And the bomb was supposed to kill Bruce Wayne. And the Riddler knows Bruce Wayne is a 30-something, decently in shape guy. But it didn't kill, what, like, late 50s, early 60s Alfred?
We know that Alfred taught Batman how to fight in this one.
And he was in the middle.
It
It mentioned,
he's, like, unhealthy or anything.
but still, he's 60, and a bomb goes off about 3 feet away from him.
Maybe
that
the
blows a
Riddler was
hole in the
being
side of a
stupid,
building.
Okay.
That's another thing, Luke.
You may.
I say is I like it how this one he is more of a detective rather than some vigilante who runs away from the police. I like.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh yes.
He has contact lenses, which like he can record everything. He works with the police. He actually works with them, and I really preferred that. Running away from them, it's like, wow.
I mean, yeah, I watched the Dark Knight in preparation for this movie, and I want to talk about. I mean, this movie they've been trying to make a standalone Batman movie since like what 2012, 2013. They've been trying to make this movie for a while. Because I mean, originally I heard that there was a script with a Ben Affleck Batman. I don't know what's happening with that. I don't even Ben Affleck's still playing Batman. Like he's in the Batman in the Snyder movies.
He
Yeah.
shouldn't anymore.
I know there was a plan for him to direct his own Batman movie because he is a pretty good director. That fell through. And then I guess that's when they did greenlight this movie. I mean, I think once that fell through, they approached Matt Reeves, and Matt Reeves said he'd only do it if he got like full creative control. And I guess with the success of Joker, they kind of were like, yeah, sure, fuck it, like see what happens.
I guess we'll find out if we're fucked.
Yeah, I mean, but even before that, they were trying to make
What?
I mean, but even before that, they were trying to make like a darker. I mean, they've been making a Batman movie for a while. I know a director. I can't remember what he's made, but there's a director, Darren Aronofsky. He's a director who's tried to make superhero movies for ages. He tried to direct Watchmen, a Wolverine movie, and a Batman movie, and they've all fallen through. So either he has commitment issues, or people just don't want to work with him.
One of the two.
Because he wanted to make a comic. He wanted to make a Batman movie based off a comic which I know has at least inspired this, which is Batman Year One, which is kind of Batman in the early stages of being Batman, which is a bit like he is here. And apparently he pitched it jokingly as starring Clint Eastwood.
You've got to ask yourself one question: do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
And filmed in Tokyo. Which, I mean, I'd
that's a
watch
good
it.
pitch.
I mean, is that a bad movie?
Who knows?
It
I
never
guess
got
we'll
made.
find out.
But it was kind of inspired, a bit like this movie is, by 70s cinema. His was inspired by Death Wish, which is just a movie about a guy shooting up thugs in New York.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, you know.
As
Family-friendly
you
films.
do.
Then again, it also has some points which don't sound great. Like, in that movie, Bruce Wayne in the script he wrote for it, Bruce Wayne loses his fortune when his parents die, and goes and is adopted by a car mechanic called Big Al, who would be Alfred.
Excuse
then-
me,
so
what?
cursed.
Excuse
Yeah,
me,
that-
what?
In his script, there was an Alfred. Batman loses all his money and is adopted by a car mechanic called Big Al.
I hate that.
I
Yes,
hate that so unbelievable.
But it does have some points that are interesting.
No.
Apparently, originally his costume would be a hockey mask and pads, which, if anyone remembers The Dark Knight, they would not approve of.
What's the difference between you and me? I'm not wearing hockey pads.
But the Batman emblem would come from something which I actually think is kind of awesome, which is that Batman wears a ring with TW, his father's initials carved into the ring, and when he punches criminals and leaves the TW, the media mistakes it for a bat sign, and that's how he gets the name, which is kind of an
that's
awesome
cool.
name.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, the problem was that Warner Brothers saw the script and realized, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to sell toys from this. So no.
Fair enough.
It worked out eventually, because we got the Nolan trilogy instead, and I like those, so it's okay. We'll get Big Al one day.
We'll get Big Al one day.
Wait, we're gonna get
Big Al.
I don't know, but I want Big Al. We
I
need Big
want-
Al.
Big Al. I don't want any Big Owls.
Luke,
No, you
I-
have to have Big Al.
that they're making a off with Colin Farrell's Penguin TV show.
Yeah, they've been discussing a lot of kind of spin-offs to this show. They were talking briefly about like a horror spin-off about Arkham Asylum. However, I think I heard somewhere that was being put on hold. I did hear about this new one with Colin Farrell. That is an interesting idea. I don't know how interesting as a show it would be. Because,
Pretty good, to be honest.
yeah, but I don't know.
He was
Colin Farrell's
interesting,
character seems kind of one beat, but maybe they'll think of something. I imagine I think Matt Reeves has ideas for this. I found out they released a prequel novel to this movie that kind of sets the world it is in. I didn't manage to get my hands on it, so I haven't read it. But apparently, it discusses the origin of the Batman and the Riddler. Batman apparently started out as a street driver, just racing on the streets, which kind of makes sense for his chasing later. And the origin of the Riddler was the horrible, traumatizing job of being a DoorDash driver. So it's like Uber. It's like Uber Eats. So that'll do it.
Horrifying. It'll do things to a man.
Honestly,
Um,
awful.
Think about how these recent DC movies with Joker and with them being a bit more less all crazy magic, all poison ivy, whatever,
Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Superman. Do you prefer it more now that it's more
Yeah, I think these.
it's more. He is the detective. It's more now that they're a bit more simple, because I definitely prefer them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't love Joker. know a lot of people did. I might rewatch it. I don't know. It just seems kind of eh.
I agree with kind of eh.
I mean, I think it's just the best because Marvel has had this. It's kind of fallen into the problem of every time they say every time they say the world's gonna end, it's not gonna end. Has anyone here seen Eternals?
Yep.
Well, that movie sucks. And there's a bit in the second they say,
Right.
"You mean the world's gonna end?" I'm like, well, no, it's not. They've just dropped the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer, and I can make a gander at what movie they have more confidence in, because mean, once the movie says, yeah, Marvel keeps it. I mean, they've subverted it a few times, like in Infinity War. When they did that, it was very good because in that movie, the world sort of ended. You know, like the villain won.
Thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what you're saying about Spider-Man, the title "No Way Home," and it doesn't make was ended, and he has no home anymore.
And that it would have been an interesting movie if it was just like Spider-Man floating in space with like his Iron Man suit on. It's a movie idea.
Yeah.
I mean, Marvel, I do have a pitch for you now. Yeah, I mean, I think it just is a lot. They've kind of been the whole genre is kind of edging towards that. Like Logan, is a much darker take and a much more low stakes kind of superhero movie than the other like X-Men movies. It's a lot more simple than this movie. It's not a sophisticated movie at all. It's just got very good characters, and that's kind of why it works the most. But yeah, I mean, I think just that kind of direction for all these types of movies is the best idea. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that. One thing I really liked that they've changed the idea. This movie, in an interesting way, changes the idea of Bruce Wayne a lot, especially in how the change. I think you could argue there's the change in how he portrays Bruce Wayne, like a billionaire, compared to how they do it in The Dark Knight. Kind of has like a thing about how people as a whole think of billionaires now. Like in this movie, he's just like he's in like a dark room all the time. He's like pale from not going outside at all, and which I think is kind of how a lot of people think of billionaires now. I don't like because I feel like in the 2000s we thought being a billionaire, people as a whole thought being a billionaire was like the coolest thing ever, you know?
Yeah.
And now it's like, and that's why kind of
It's less
Batman's.
glamorous now.
Yeah, and one thing that's different with Batman is he kind of sucks more in some ways.
Yeah, he's kind of an arsehole.
Like that as well. But
I've completely forgotten what we're talking about.
we're talking about
Batman.
how
Dumbass.
Batman's a billionaire and kind of sucks.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because
Sorry.
one thing
Luke's
I noticed,
Michael broke.
You're doing most of this city, you know.
my Michael Brocken and my Michael Brocken.
Oh yeah, Luke, how's Michael?
Is your Michael better yet?
My mic broke, and we're recording this later, and these guys are giving me shit for texting my Michael Brocken.
Yep. I'm not quite sure why his Michael broke, but it did. Now Michael is broke.
And
Michael has lack of monies.
there's a lot of. I'm gonna just ignore you.
Yeah, that might be the best idea.
One thing I thought was interesting is there's a lot of examples where like his privilege as a billionaire comes through and hinders him as a detective, like or even like as a person. Like there's the bit where he's in the Riddler's like apartment and the other cop has to explain to him what the carpet thing is.
Yeah, but I didn't know what that was.
But like
you
someone,
didn't know what that was.
but it's more
No,
like
no one knows what that was.
Unless
That was
you're-
very specifically. He knew what that was because that's his uncle's job.
true, but like something like that is it's something that he wouldn't know because he's so wealthy. There are a lot of people who would know that, and a lot more people in more working class would know what that is.
No.
Because they're not, mega wealthy.
They're not
Yeah.
Kind of similar to this. You know when he's going URL La Rata La Retarda or whatever?
Yeah.
How does he immediately URL is in like a site's URL?
Well, because
It's like the Tom Cruise thing where he looks in the Bible and immediately thinks. How does
I think it is on a website actually. I'm not. How does that? I forgot they showed that actually. No, they show it on a website, like already on a website. I think that's how he gets it. But that's another example of him like not knowing things that are like he doesn't know Spanish. I think if like this were the in the Dark Knight, I'm pretty sure that version of Batman knows like all the languages.
Why doesn't
like Czechoslovakian?
Yeah, some languages.
But like, yeah, I mean, it's he's almost like bad at being Batman. Like he's trying in this movie, he's trying to live up to something, and he's struggling so hard to do that.
Yeah, because he's a loser.
Like,
Yeah,
but
'cause
like
he's not Batman.
there's
He's a
the bit where
werewolf
he
or a
jumps off
vampire, I can't
the
remember which.
he jumps off the tower, and he jumps off the building, and like he's almost scared to jump off the building because he's jumping off a building. That's a scary thing to do. You know, it's not. He's not quite like he's not as confident as he is in other movies. You know, like his tech even kind of sucks. Like he has the mask thing, but like yeah, his wingsuit works just about enough. But like
Smacks into a bus.
yeah, he smacks into a bus and like beats himself up a lot. Like he doesn't make a clean landing.
No, not even a little bit.
Dude goes into a bridge. I laughed at him because haha loser.
No, his parachute caught on the bridge. He didn't go into the
No,
bridge.
he's a
Yeah, I mean, I
inside of a bridge, Casper.
I mean, yeah,
I-
it's just
better than him.
I mean, yeah,
I-
it's just
Better than him.
a lot
Huh?
of things this movie brings to the character. I think just it works really well. I think like it's really interesting to see a blockbuster, and like this is a capital B blockbuster
Whoa.
that
Yeah,
feels
lowercase b.
that feels so like the movie is very stylized, I think, in like just how it's filmed. It has a very like gloomy image. It is almost Tim Burton-esque. A bit like those original movies. It does have a very I'm happy to see like films and TV that are so hyper stylized but are doing very well. I know a lot of people are talking about Euphoria at the moment just because I think season 2 came out. But that's a very
Luke
hyper.
was commenting all day about the amount of penises.
got a lot of
It was very funny.
There's a lot of penises in that show, man.
Excuse
You
me,
know,
what?
Wait, were you
in-
not there, Casper?
I was not there.
there's a show.
For the-
There's
Yeah,
a show,
2 days after we
Euphoria.
watched the show,
Yeah, I know you showed
it was
me.
just saying, oh yes,
like,
penises.
woo in a big pile.
Yeah, there are lots of penises in that show, but there's a lot of like very artistry, and there's a lot of visual, interesting stuff in it, a lot of like expressionism in that kind of sense. And I think that's just seeing that in films is interesting, and I appreciate that, and some sort of things like that,
I
Yeah.
completely agree with everything you said because I definitely heard it.
I mean, yeah, there's just and there's also, and I'm kind of just going on different things this movie does. Interestingly, the whole thing of his character arc, I think that is a thing you see in this movie a lot more than you see in other superhero movies.
That is true.
It is, however, where the problems do kind of start to be, because the character arc of him as Batman, it's great because it's a little messy, but I mean, it is the whole. It's kind of has. There's kind of a Fight Club. It did remind me of Fight Club in certain bits, kind of mentality of like fighting, where when Batman's beating up the thugs at the beginning, it's very like this is so cool. He's Batman, it's awesome. But it also has that thing of the beginning is he's not Batman, he's Vengeance. He introduces himself as Vengeance, which I've been
I am
using to annoy
Vengeance.
people for like a last week now.
Luke is a
have?
very annoying person.
Yeah, I have a script I'm doing in drama, and there's a line where someone goes, "It wasn't them anymore, it was him," and then the other person goes, "Who?" And at that point, I'll just click, "I'm Vengeance." And my group doesn't like me anymore, but
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I wouldn't.
Did they
either.
ever like you?
that's beside the point.
I agree. That is beside the point.
But it's that type of thing where he's not even Batman that much. He's not a hero. He's just there to punish people for being in a darker world. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about like these things about like like why you were in that situation. He just is going at it because he's trying. He's Vengeance. He's going at it, and then that's kind of the catalyst for the villain, the Riddler. Because Riddler is also, in a sense, doing the same thing, Riddler is also a person who's like, I see all this corruption in the city. I'm going to do the same thing as Batman, a little more, like, violently, but he's doing the same thing as Batman in the beginning of the
I
movie.
wouldn't say more violently. I would say more cruelly.
More
Because
sadistically.
Batman is like very violent. Yeah, more sadistically. That's the one.
Because
Because he just like actually tortures people.
Because but like they are both going after like people who are corrupt in the city, and like I think that and Riddler, he thinks Batman's on his side for a good chunk of this movie, and when he finds out he's not on his side, he does in the interrogation scene, he kind of freaks out.
He's like, no, we were meant to be like together forever and get married, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
You know
more or
what?
less word for word.
Pretty much.
What happens, but also there's the thing of the revealing Thomas Wayne also wasn't like a white knight. Thomas Wayne was a flawed person as well with the whole reporter thing. Because
okay, Casper, that's beside the point.
Because the whole reporter thing is like, because Batman, I think he thinks of his father as like, and they have this in the comics, where his father is just like the greatest guy ever. Like he's just the greatest. But this movie, and I want to know your opinion on this, because on one side, do you think that they should have pushed the Thomas Wayne being a villain further, or do you think you liked how they kind of showed he was a villain, but then showed he was a good person fundamentally?
I think it would be interesting. I think it would be very interesting to have that confliction in Batman. Like, he has to stop what his father's doing, but also it's his father, so he can't,
Because
I
will say I do like I kind of, because I think there's a video game, I mentioned this at some point, where Thomas Wayne is revealed to be like a megalomaniac, who is who poisoned his patients before he died and was a fundamentally bad person. But I think that making him fundamentally a good person is good if you're thinking of Batman's development as a character, because I think it's an example. It shows to Batman how, and it's a bit like this, and with the Russian girl who Catwoman lives with, that most of the people who are doing some of criminal activity in Gotham aren't like bad people, but are good people who made mistakes. Like, it's like Alfred very explicitly says, your father was a good man who made a mistake, So I think so it's kind of
when he said that.
Yeah, I mean, that type of thing, and then especially the ending. The ending is a little messy, I think. It is kind of where it loses me a little bit. But the very ending with there's a lot of explicit rebirth imagery, I think, because he beats up one of the Riddler's henchmen, who then says, "I'm vengeance," which is kind of just the most explicit, get it? The Riddler is the same as Batman in this sense. So in that way, Batman jumps. It's get it? They're not subtle at all. And then Batman, he stops wires and he jumps into the water, and there's this it feels very explicit, just the idea of rebirth as a different person, of him coming out of the water.
Being mean.
I feel like every DC movie, they literally don't follow any story. They're all different, but I kind of like that in another way.
Yeah, I mean, it's another thing about Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves' Gotham. Unlike Snyder's movies, it feels like Gotham is a real place. Unlike Snyder's films, which just feels like a bunch of set pieces in random places that you don't have to think about it.
It was more of a bleak, full of criminals that was kind of dying, and people wanted to run. So it's good stuff.
And I think that helps with having Batman become this at the end of the movie. He becomes I remember when he was reaching out to the people under the wreckage. It felt very Superman-y. Superman is the beacon of hope.
And I don't know anything about films.
Because just the idea of him. Because especially when he reaches out and they're scared of him at first.
Yeah, because you would be though, because all you've seen him do is just
beat the
shit
fuck out of people. Yeah.
And then he reaches his hand towards you and like,
no.
like, I don't want to die.
And then there's there's that shot. It's a very good shot, I think, of him holding the light and people following him.
I like that.
That was a good shot.
And you get the, I mean, it's the ending is not subtle at all. You get the idea of he opens the movie with saying "I am the shadows," and he ends the movie as being light. Like he changes. I mean, it's not subtle at all. However, that is when the movie starts to kind of slow, because you have him saving people, and then you have the Joker scene, and then you have a scene with Catwoman and him riding on motorcycles, and then it ends.
I did not understand that scene.
Which scene?
Cycles.
No, I think that was supposed to be for. I mean, Matt Reeves at least he says it's supposed to be the reason he kept that Joker scene in, is because the way he thought that the scene after it on the motorcycles works better, where Catwoman's saying we should leave, and that Gotham is never going to be a safe haven, and Batman saying I have to try, and by showing Joker earlier, you're showing an example of how there will always be something in Gotham. Like, even though he's beat the Riddler, the Joker's there, and the Joker's gonna get out. Fun?
It's Gotham, we need a storyline. Of course there'll be something wrong.
Yeah, and so it kind of works there, but it's a little messy. I don't know. What do you guys think of a sequel to this?
I mean, if it's got
they're gonna have to make it bloody good, otherwise everyone's gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, it's hard,
That's a
because
fact.
my thing is, it seems like, because whilst Batman's arc is very good, there isn't an arc for, like, his character as Bruce Wayne, where, like, because they have the thing with the mayor, where the mayor's like, even though your parents gave a lot of money, you don't really do anything. So maybe they're saving something like that for a sequel?
Yeah, they might have some more character development for him.
But that kind of makes this movie feel more jarring, and I kind of wish they had just planned to make this movie as a one-off. Because it feels like if they had made this movie more of a one-off, and got given that, character thing for Bruce Wayne, it would have wrapped up nicely, and I think that's I think is why I actually like The Dark Knight more than this, is because The Dark Knight feels more, it feels a little more complete, and I think in every other way they're exactly the same. They do kind of the same thing. They're very similar in quality, but Nolan is just a little better at wrapping his films up in a satisfying way and making sure that they would work his movies by themselves.
But saying that, it's really cool and still watch it.
No, I'm going to watch the sequel to this. There's been a lot of speculation about it. I know there's a theory that the villain Hush, which is a villain from the comics, would be in it, because the villain's Hush's alter ego, the villain Hush, had the same last name as the photographer who was killed. And apparently a message the Riddler left said the word Hush, and in the Hush comics, the Riddler controls Hush. So that is an idea for a sequel. Apparently another one that
something here.
Twitter wants to do is something called the Coven of Owls, or whatever it's called, which is like a cult of wealthy people.
That's pretty cool.
I mean, I think, and again, I'm not a screenwriter, I don't know what I'm talking about. I think an interesting idea for a sequel,
I know what you're talking about.
and it would be hard to do it because you'd be rushing a lot, is a sequel with Robin where Robin dies. Because Robin would have to die for it to... Because if you want to do a trilogy, which I think this would have to be, trilogy I think is probably the best way to wrap it up, is you could do it where... Because after this, he's kind of there's not a lot of space for Batman to move. So what you could do is, after this next movie, he meets a kid and then takes him under his wing, and we think we're going to get a Robin storyline, but then the kid who plays Robin is killed by some villain.
Then the kid fucking dies.
And we go
Run
back
over
to
by a steamroller.
Yes.
like he gets run over by a steamroller, like in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Has
Yeah.
anyone seen that movie? Yeah, like exactly like that,
okay.
very slowly. Or either that or Austin Powers.
What?
Remember the bit in Austin Powers, the guy's like really far away and
Run over
screaming?
by a steamroller?
No, do you not remember in Austin Powers where Austin Powers is
Oh,
on the
I
steamroller,
remember that. And
and the guy's
they go to his wife.
yeah, and the guy's really far away and screaming, and he just doesn't move out the way, and then eventually gets run over. It's funny. It's an Austin Powers gag. So yeah, Robin gets killed, and then Batman's like, ugh, it sucks, and goes back to being brooding and stuff. You know, that could be a sequel with character stuff. You know, that's a
Would not be
movie.
surprising for Batman.
I mean, I kind of want to watch, because Matt Reeves before this did those like Planet of the Apes movies, and he did a trilogy with that. I want to watch those, see how he deals with a trilogy in that sense. Like, how does he frame it out? Because whilst I trust Matt Reeves, a sequel to this is hard. You know?
Yes.
They really
Expectations will be very high if they
They-
make a sequel.
they made a really good movie, and they didn't leave any character development. Where are we supposed to go? So I mean, yeah, it's.
You know, I'd be-
I mean, I was always I always thought. I know you two mentioned that you were kind of expecting this movie to be shit. I was expecting it to be good because of Robert Pattinson. And I'm only saying that because after Twilight, which I think I kind of feel bad for him for being known for Twilight, because I think that might be part of the reason he took this role, is because he doesn't want to be the Twilight guy anymore. I imagine he's kind of sick of it.
Being the
and-
Twilight guy would kind of suck.
Like, and for the last 10 years, I think it is, he's been doing like these art films. I know he did Tenet recently, and that's not really. But before that, he did this movie called The Lighthouse, which is filmed in black and white in 4:3, and it's him and Willem Dafoe, and they're just speaking in Old English together, and it makes no sense, and it's insane.
Foul, rotten tooth, smelly old mouth. You damn. I finished yet? You think you're so goddamn high and mighty just because you're a goddamn lighthouse keeper?
Great.
Yeah, it's
Funny.
I also want to say, I know another thing that I think about the films that Robert Pattinson's been doing in the meantime. There's a reference to one, because apparently he got this role after his movie Good Times, which came out in 2018. Where I guess I haven't seen it. I guess he's really angry in it.
What?
What?
Apparently, he just plays being angry very well in the movie Good Times. So,
Look at you, you're drunk as shit. Now you want to get real with me? Don't fucking flatter yourself, bro. I'm not trying to get real with you. You know what? I'm fucking real. I'm trying to talk to you.
yeah, apparently that's like a thing in it. But that's apparently why he was cast in this movie. But there's a reference to it. You know the beginning monologue where he's like, "I am the shadows and I am fear."
We have a signal now for when I'm needed. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
And
I
there's
am the shadows.
a guy, and it shows a guy. He's wearing a red hoodie and like a pumpkin mask, and he mugs a straw and walks out into a spotlight.
Yeah.
Or to empty its pockets.
Yes.
Ops the store,
I
Luke.
don't
Get
think
it
I
right.
can roll.
Well, I found out, and I did not notice this. The store is called Good Times, and the guy in the guy with the mask, the pumpkin mask, is dressed the same as Robert Pattinson except for the mask. He's dressed the same as Pattinson in that movie.
You on this? Like,
There's
what-
so much stuff out there. There's just all of it.
Yeah, great, but that's so specific.
The internet, my friend.
Welcome to the internet.
he's just, I think after like Twilight, he just like, fuck it, I hate it, and he just did a bunch of weird movies to get it out of his system. And he's like, you know what? I'm ready to do blockbusters again. But I think him being cast was why I was like, okay, like Robert Pattinson wouldn't choose to be Batman unless he saw something in this script. So I mean, I'm happy. That's kind of why I was like, you know what? It'll be okay. He, and you know, Matt Reeves hasn't done a bad thing since like 1996, so trust him.
Yeah.
I know. I did hear about this. Matt Reeves was approached. Apparently, he said he won't do a Marvel movie, which I'm also fine with. I don't know how his thing would work in a Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Because the Marvel movies are very.
They're very structured, and they have to be very PG and all of that. So
I mean, he said in a quote, I think, I have such respect for Kevin Feige and also the filmmakers, but to be honest with you, I don't know if I'd make a very good way through that. There has to be some level of discovery for me, where I have some freedom to find my own way. If I have to come to something that's already set in filming, then I think I'd get lost, and I don't think they'd be very happy with me either. That's probably true. I mean, as I said earlier, he only said he'd do this movie if he got full creative control, and Marvel does not like to give creative control to anyone. That's honestly my biggest problem with them. Like they're so almost commercialized. It feels like, you know.
Yeah.
They're very like just. Yeah, there's no art. There doesn't feel like there's any artistry, and I mean, like, good for them. It's working. Like they're making billions.
Oh, it's very much working.
It's very much working for them. But
They all
you know.
just.
Yeah, they're just So I'm happy they got that. A little more seriously, I want to mention one thing that's a little weird about this is, you know, the ending with the Riddlers, like the Riddler henchmen shooting down to the stage.
Yes.
That feels like not a great idea, and this is not like this is more just this isn't a filmmaking point. This is just a how the movie people will think about this movie point. That feels like something they should have done in the sequel, just because politically now I think it felt little, you know.
What do you mean?
It's especially because I mean the U.S. especially has a lot of just shootings, and I know they're trying to tap into that, but I don't know if they should have. It works for the story and all that, but it felt, and I'm sure I don't mean to say this about Matt Reeves. I'm sure he wasn't doing this, but there was a shooting at a Batman premiere in Colorado. It was someone like fired into a cinema showing of The Dark Knight. And I'm like, it just feels a little weird to then have a scene where the bunch of shooters firing into a crowd in a Batman movie, you know?
Oh, damn.
In prosthetics. You just put, like, another body on him.
Yeah.
Like, you just put a fat, like, it's not even like you put a fat suit, like, a little, you touch it up, no, you didn't, like, do Thor where they just put, like, stuff in cheeks and stuff. You just changed his face.
That's what makeup is.
First day that we were to film together, I walked right past him. I was kind of waiting for Colin to show up so that we could rehearse. Yeah, basically, and he was standing right next to me.
No, but like you know how like it's not like in Thor in Endgame. I mean, yeah, it's just a lot. Just these small things. They just make this movie. Like even like that thing with the Batmobile where he just revs it and scares away people by revving it. You know?
Oh, it's cool.
This movie is fucking great. But I think we just for time reasons we should probably wrap this up. You know?
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean I'm calling it. I'm making this the first podcast where we're on the podcast app. I'm gonna try as hard as I can to make that happen.
What?
I'm gonna see if we can get our podcast onto the podcast app.
Cool.
Yes.
I know I'm gonna make it happen. I'm seeing if I make it happen. But we're on Spotify, you know, C Files Podcast. We're on YouTube. The C Files. We post other stuff there too. Yeah. I'm Luke.
Yep.
I'm Casper.
I'm Max.
And I'm Luke number 2, Electric Boogaloo.
And this has been the C-Files podcast.
The C-Files, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Now go
Bye.
and watch another episode.
Alright. Do that, yeah.
Hi, this is Luke. If you like that video, please like and subscribe, and click the bell icon for notifications about new videos.